Welcome to our Spotlight series on Your Conestoga Today. I'm your host, Mamuzo. Now, music as we know it is not just entertainment. It is therapeutic, it builds connections, and of course, it creates community. And who knew that buckets, broken chairs, and everyday junk could make joyful readings and build meaningful connections? Well, that's exactly what our guest does, and she does it with a lot of passion and dedication. Who is a guest on the show today? Well, let me keep you in suspense while I welcome you first to another insightful episode of Your Conestoga Today. In this episode, we will be diving into the power of musical creativity in building community. And if you never knew, music comes from the most unexpected places. Perhaps we can bring you up close and personal with an inspiring project that's reimagining how we think about art, sustainability, and belonging. My guest today is a community musician and the founder of KW Junk Music, Mary Abdul Malik-Neal. Now, one thing I presume today's conversation would do is reveal that every one of us has music inside. Perhaps we just need a few surprising instruments to let out the reading. But first, an important announcement. If you would like to advertise on our platform, head over to our website at CCDTV.ca. Now, Mary Abdul Malik, good to have you in the studio today. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Thank you for having me.
Great, and I'm saying we're matching colors today.
Yeah, we didn't even plan this.
So let's go right into the meat of today's conversation. What is KW Junk Music and how did that vision come about?
It's kind of funny. KW Junk Music was not a planned thing. I was doing my master's in community music at Laurier, and one of the classes I was taking had an assignment that was basically I had to go out and facilitate something in the community to show that I can actually do that. And so I was reading up about a theater company in the UK that used junk, like sort of costumes in their theater production, but used traditional instruments. And I thought, well, why wouldn't you take that a step further and just use junk to make the instruments as well? Because they were trying to do a sustainable theater practice. And so I said, okay, I'm going to just make instruments out of random things. And then my assignment was I was going to go to Victoria Park as part of City of Kitchener Neighbors Day and host a junk music jam. And that was what I was going to do for my assignment. And that's what I did. I created all these instruments, and I put a call out to my neighbors, and I said, hey, if you have anything that you think sounds like a good instrument, then I am happy to take it and do something with it. Or if you have like scrap materials. So every day I'd come home for like 2 months and there would be something on my front porch. PVC pipes, copper pipes,
oh, wow.
Random like buckets. Like I would just come home and be like, okay, so there's like something every day to play with. And for 2 months I started putting all these instruments together. We went and hosted a jam in Victoria Park. I think there might have been over 60 people who came and just like
I saw the
played,
video, good turnout.
Right? And just came and played. And it was really fun and I didn't think anything of it. I packed all my stuff and I put it in bins and put it in my garage and I was like, okay, assignment done, check. and then a picture of my jam ended up in the front page of the local section of the Record.
Congratulations.
With all those kids jamming around and then all of a sudden I would just be getting like messages from people who were like, hey, would you be interested in doing this for like this thing? So the next thing I did was a theater production with Asphalt Jungle Shorts. And it just like the requests just kept coming in. And I was like, okay, well, I have these instruments, so I might as well do something with them. And that's kind of how KW Junk Music was born, completely unintentionally. I was not planning on starting like an organization or a movement. I was just trying to pass my class.
Oh,
so,
oh my God. And I like the story because it's so authentic. And the truth is there are many ideas that we get to connect with every day, but you never know how far you can go when you take those ideas a little more seriously, like you just have done.
Yeah.
I can imagine you had a lot of instruments on your porch, like you mentioned. Was there, or has there been any particular instrument that you so unexpectedly received or created yourself that has now, become a loving, rhythmic, musical, part of your journey?
Well, the one thing I love about this is it also unintentionally created community. I didn't realize that people would be so interested in coming together to be part of this. So when I became artist in residence for the city of Kitchener in 2019, I got a little blurb in the record, and somebody had read that, contacted the person who wrote it and said, can I get a hold of this person? So they connected me with me, and he ended up being a retired welder. And he was like, I build these structures, like he creates art, it's beautiful. And he's like, but I'd love to help you because I think this cause really resonates with me. So we've been working together to build many things. He'll just go to the scrapyard and collect metal and then build things out of them. I have a cowbell on a stand. Aww. I have like a glockenspiel, just similar to this kind of xylophone, but with like aluminum pipes that resonate, so they sound like chimes, and they're laid out like in like a scale order. And we've created a drum kit out of cardboard buckets and stands. So like just the fact that it brings people together and says like, how can we create something? And I take all these instruments out with me when I do jams. Like we have a little stand that we put cut fire extinguishers on. Oh. And they are like chimes on a stand. There's a lot. Yeah, it's
you must have a very large garage to take all of those things.
Well, it's now just in my basement. It's an entire room. Oh. It's a thing.
That's interesting to know. Now, I wonder how your brain works, because you hear music from all those objects every day. But what is the creative process like? Like when you pick up a stick or metal, do you get to hear, I guess it might sound like this or like that? Like, how does it work?
Usually I just end up working with what I get donated or what I find. So okay. It's rather than going the other way around where I'm like, what can I make and what do I need? I just kind of look at what I need and go, okay, what happens? So for example, I had all these cut pieces of pipe. Some of them were in my garage. Some of them were donated to me. And then I just, using the physics from my university days forever ago, I figured out
your knowledge is lost.
Right? Like I'm just digging in now from all times of my life to just try to put this together. But I just figured out like how far I'd have to cut them to get the correct frequency, and then you can get a...
Oh.
Yeah. So I kind of use whatever I have with me to like whatever I'm given to see like what can I possibly put together with the things. And yeah, the stuff in front of you right now is all randomly collected things, like a random pool noodle that somebody gave me that was torn at one end, ended up being like the holder for these pipes. These are so fun. These were, I had a friend of mine, she messaged me and she's like, I bought a Christmas tree. And I was like, okay, congratulations. Like, what am I doing with your Christmas tree? She's like, and it came with this really interesting like packing material. Oh. And this was like, these were from that packing material, and they're like rhythmic percussion.
This is so good.
Yeah, and so I'm just like, okay, I just kind of say, okay, I'll take whatever you have, and then I kind of roll with it.
And so you just start to create from whatever you have.
Yeah.
And I heard one classical musical professional say that, there are no wrong notes. It's just that some sounds better than the others. So just hearing you, play music with these unexpected items, it's interesting to hear how we can create music. But I also hear you when you said earlier that your music has also brought community together. Can you share a story, an experience you had that sort of, gives us a clear picture of how music, because I believe personally in the power of music, and how your work has been able to foster community building?
Yeah, I think I mentioned before that I was the City of Kitchener Artist in Residence in 2019. And so that my project during that time, I was the first musician in that role. It's typically like a visual artist, and they've thrown in a few different disciplines in that, which is really fun. And that year I just said, I'm going to go around and take my instruments, and we're just going to create songs, like songs about Kitchener. And so I would go around to different community centers or different groups, and people would come together, and we would write lyrics based on people's contributions to what they wanted to include in the song, and we'd put it all together and we create a song, and at the end we performed it. You can see YouTube videos on my YouTube.
I saw some. I heard some. They're very good.
They're pretty fun. And yeah, we would just go around and take the instruments, and at the end we would sing the song with instruments and record it. And then at the very end of that, I asked the city if I could record all these things and make it publicly accessible. And so we did. We took all these songs to the recording studio, and we recorded them all, some with junk instruments as well, and created an album called Songs of Kitchener, and then put it up on Spotify and all your favorite streaming platforms. And people can listen to these songs that were created. And the album cover was created by a high school student. We put a call out for a competition. So I really wanted to get as many people involved. And so there's an entire album available to listen to that was created by people in the community, as opposed to the traditional way that we create music. Getting recording deals, going in studio, or all these things. It was just very community oriented.
And what I loved about that project is you were able to really get people to share their lived experiences. People spoke about their love for home. People spoke about, there's one about, I'm trying to remember now. There's one about, was it discrimination or racial? Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you speak about some of the messages you?
Sure. Yeah, so that actually, so there was the first album I put out was the Songs of Kitchener album, and that had more of a really situated in Kitchener as place. And so there are people singing about the Honer Ave porch party. Lots of people have been to the Honer Ave porch party, right? And so it's very connected in that way. It's very much place oriented. After that was done, I was like, okay, what am I going to do next? And so I actually felt like we had so many community issues and struggles that were happening within our community, because we were growing, and we were at that point where, there was the opioid crisis that was coming round about, and that conversation about safe consumption sites. And so there was a lot of dialogue that was happening, in media, in community groups, in city council chambers. There were a lot of conversation, and I thought, well, how can I contribute to that conversation? And so I applied for a Canada Council grant, and I received that grant to create what I call a community album that brings those voices of lived experience to the album. And we co-create together to create the songs, and some of the voices of those members with lived experience are actually also on the album as well, through the interviews that we did together. And so that was a very large project. I was ambitious and thought I could get this done in a year, and then COVID happened, so there was complications as well. It took about 2.5 years to put this all together. But yes, there's a mixture of messages from all over. There are people with lived experience of homelessness. There's discrimination. There's trying to find employment after immigrating to a new country. There were so many conversations and so many issues that all came into that album. And we also recorded all that, and it's available on your favorite streaming platform as well.
Do you want to give us the handle so we can go search it out?
Yeah, if you just look up Mary Abdul Malik-Neal on any streaming platform, you'll find the music. But if you want to follow me, I'm at KW Junk Music on basically every social media platform.
This is so interesting to hear, and thank you for the work you're doing for the community. Here at Conestoga, we're big on community building, and we try to amplify voices of those who are actually helping us, create structures around how we can connect as humans, because first we're humans before we're anything else. So let's have a go at this. I am eager to see work this way, but before we even start this, Mary, I'm wondering, for that child who's saying, oh, perhaps my mom cannot afford to put me in a piano school or a music academy, I just feel like there's a need for us to let them know that you could start with whatever you have. Maybe that's a highfalutin goal, but I really like what we have here. It's a good way to start to connect with music, right?
I think that if people are interested in music making, play is a very important part of the process. And one of the things I love doing when I just go out and host a jam is people just come and play, and everyone's always like, oh, the little kids must have so much fun. I'm like, no, it's not just the little kids.
Even
like there are adults that come that don't even have kids that are just coming to play. Because I think as a society, we have removed play out of like our adults, like nature. We think when we become adults, now we always have to do the adulting thing, and we have the capitalistic grind and the busyness, and we don't have time to play. And my goal, in addition to getting people to play music and sustainability, is to reignite that passion for play and that time for play, even with adults. So I am super excited when adults want to come and jam along as well, because I think that's something that our society really needs more of. So so part of what I do is I host jams, but I also do workshops where we talk about sustainability. We create soundscapes.
I was coming to that too.
Yeah, we'll get there. We create soundscapes together based on like what the instruments we have and what people are interested in, like sort of portraying. There's many different ways to interact with like sound and make music, and some of it can be traditional and recognizable, and some of it can be abstract, just like any art form, right? Some can be abstract, and so like some of the soundscapes are just, we're looking at climate change, and we're taking different natural disasters, and we're creating sound to like to mimic those natural disasters. So there's all these different ways of interacting with music and making it meaningful that isn't necessarily like you can take it to record, like let's go to a recording studio and record it and put it out there.
I like that the end result is not always about having a musical piece that goes out there. It could just be for your own engagement.
Yes.
And then if you want to get more people involved, for sure. I want to be involved.
All right.
So now, what's my task going to be?
Okay.
What are we creating?
So, well, I think we should just jam.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are drumsticks here that you can play pipes on. There are the sort of the blocks here that you can play, and then there's these singing pots.
Okay.
These are always fun. So you've heard of singing bowls. Okay, well, singing bowls are also another one of those things that like people use for meditation, but they're very expensive. Like if you get an authentic singing bowl, it can be very costly. So instead, at Value Village, if you go around and start testing out all the pots that are there,
great tip there.
you might be able to find a pot that sounds like this.
Church bell.
And it creates the exact same resonance and vibration that you would get with a singing bowl. And it sustains.
I still could hear it. Oh.
With a singing bowl, but it's just a singing pot.
Oh my.
So I've got a couple of those. And yeah, so what do you want to play?
I could try this. Let's see,
one?
and then I can move to the next.
We can also do a little chorus with our singing pots.
Okay. See, I just want to mark. Okay. So
Yeah.
sure I have the right spot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you just have to make sure you hold it at the bottom so
Okay.
you have so it can resonate, and then you just strike the side, and then you're trying to find it so you can pick it up. And if you're not finding it there, you can strike it. You can rotate it a little higher on the bowl.
Oh, okay.
And I have several of these, and it is like you can have a sound bath just with these. Yeah.
And I see the handles. What's this here though?
So just suede and dowels.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Before I had gotten a donation of drum kits from Long and McQuaid, which I have to say thank you to.
Oh, nice.
Because I have many drumsticks from Long and McQuaid. I used to just take dowels, like old dowels from construction projects, and wrap them in like electrical tape and have kids play with it, because I just didn't want them to get splinters, and just have kids play with them as drumsticks. So whenever I find dowels, I'm like, woo, drumsticks.
The perfect thing.
So yes, they're just dowels with some suede on it. The suede gives you the ability to make that resonant sound by holding it. Yeah, so that's Value Village. And I had someone kindly just take off the handles for me.
Okay.
So you can play them, yeah. So you can create your own little sound bath just from that. And if you're gonna keep playing that.
Okay. So much fun. Okay,
then,
now let's
here.
try the. Yeah, I'd like to try the.
You want to try those?
Xylophone. I mean,
Go
I know
for
it's.
it.
I know you have.
Yeah.
What's the name of this? I know it's a. It looks like a xylophone.
It is,
but
yeah, I would call it a xylophone.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. So go ahead.
I'll sit over here so
come on.
I can do it good. Okay,
Yeah.
so. Okay, I'll listen to your reading, then I'll flow.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
And if you get a bunch of people together, you can imagine how it can kind of turn into a bit of an orchestra. We have a little bit of a jam.
Oh my gosh.
Someone's holding like a beat. Someone's got like a bass part. Someone's just like tinkering on. Yeah. So that's what we do. I don't really have. See, that was one of the things that was really interesting about this project for me. In like learning about a little bit about myself, is I realized I was one of those people that was like, I like to control everything. I don't like to be surprised. I like to go in with a plan. You know, I was trained as a teacher as well. So when you have like lesson plan, have your objectives and all this stuff. And I kind of had to unlearn all of these things, right? Like I go in there, when we go for a jam or whatever, it's like, whatever everyone brings to a space, that's what we're working with. Like, there's no point in me forcefully trying to move things in a particular direction, especially when my goal is play and creativity. So it really is just kind of like, go in there, put stuff out, wait and see what happens.
And isn't that true of life? Because sometimes we so overplan our lives, but at the end of the day, we don't even get as much outcome as sometimes when you just flow with the process.
Yes.
I know it's tough to let go, but sometimes letting go is the better option.
Yeah, for sure. That is definitely, you know, something that I have come to learn. And I actually even, I did some research around like people who participated in my junk music jams. And I actually published an article with the International Journal of Community Music talking exactly about this, about like encouraging facilitators to not be so focused on their outcome and to just go in there, like go into the space realizing like all these different people are bringing all their different experiences, all their different, like even their, you know, if they had a bad day before they got there, or all these different bits and pieces are coming into a space, and then you're just saying, hey, group of people, let's work together and like do something. And if you don't allow for that sort of, you know, the what I call like the happenstance to happen, then you know you might not get what fully could come out of that kind of experimentation and play process. And so my goal is always to try to get people involved and not make it too structured.
I like that, Mary. Thank you so much. Now let's talk about the sustainability part of your work, because I'm sure when you started out, you were not thinking about, okay, well, I was saving the earth some.
Yeah, I'm going out to save the world.
Yeah, right. But now we see the value, besides just entertaining us, also bringing some like very types of healings to people, and then sharing and connecting as a community. We also see that this project is helping our earth. Right.
Yes.
So could you speak to that for me?
For sure. One of the things that I do when I do workshops is I bring in that concept of sustainability and why I'm doing this kind of work. But in general, my hope is when I take these instruments out, people look and say like, oh, I can do something else other than throwing out this, like these pipes. I could maybe do something else with them. And whether that's themselves or donating to somewhere that could do those things, I'm hoping to get people to just think about their sustainable practice while they're doing this. So like my first degree was in biology, and sustainability was big for me, which is part of the reason I went into biology. And so the fact that I could connect two of my loves, like music and sustainability, together was exciting to me. And yeah, if I can just get people to think a little bit differently about sustainability and the things that they have laying around their house, then I call it a win.
A win, really. And that's a powerful message. Having experienced KW junk music, I believe that everyone would start to think about how they reuse products and how they dump products in the landfills. I mean, if you really can do something with it, please save our earth and be creative with what you have. It's been great speaking with you, Mary. I have been so entertained, and I want to also add that I've also had a good experience just feeling and hearing how this object here can make rhythm. It resonates deeply with me because I'm a big believer of music, and I know that music is a driver of connection, but also because when I'm in that state where I do not understand how to process my thoughts or feelings, I go into music. And so I can feel that this is also a getaway.
Yeah.
From lives, debacles and what have you. I'm glad that we have this tool. And how can we connect with you some more as a community? What do we do? What's your plan for the next thing? Like, what are we looking forward to seeing from KW Junk Music?
Well, right now now that we're back from the pandemic and lots of like community stuff is happening, you can find me in different community events. I am doing the Culture Festival in July in Waterloo, so you can find me jamming there. Currently, I don't necessarily have any particular plans. I'm always looking to play music. I'm always looking to figure out what the next thing is. But right now, I really love to get back into the community. Like the pandemic made it so I couldn't do the thing that I did. So we moved into some of this like music recording, music making in that way. And now I'm just excited to get back into the community. So if anyone's
now we can have closer interactions.
So if anyone's interested in bringing like KW Junk Music to their event or their community, feel free to reach out to me.
That's good. Now, I wouldn't let you go without asking for advice for our students, because I know students who are greatly talented but may not have the type of experience that you have, but would love to connect. What would be the advice for you? They're studying right now, they're working perhaps. How can they combine their love for music with all of the things that they're doing in this space?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to just find something that really resonates with you and just have fun with it. For me, like I said, this was just by accident. Like I did not plan on doing this for as long as I've been doing it even. So I think that, it's important at this time when you're just not sure what you're doing to play and explore, right? So for me, like music was a love that started when I was younger. I used to be in choirs and I played the saxophone, and I did that up until university, and then life got in the way.
Of course,
right?
Life always gets in the way.
Life got in the way, and I kind of let it lapse. And then only around 2017, I went back to choirs before then, but in 2017 or 2015, when I started my community music degree, I was like, I want to get back into this. Like, why did I let this thing go? So really just carving out even just a little bit of time for that thing that really gives you passion, like even if it's 10 minutes, like a day or 5 minutes a day or an hour a week, whatever it is, just keep it kind of flowing. And then when it's right, it will blossom.
True that.
Right? In the most unexpected ways.
For sure. It's been an inspiring and joy-filled conversation today. We are reminded that creativity has no limits and that sometimes the most powerful music comes from the least expected places or situations. A big thank you to Mary Abdul Malik-Neal, founder and community musician, KW Junk Music, for showing us how arts can build community, spark change, and bring people together in the most unexpected ways. I believe this episode is worth sharing, if not for the music and creativity, at least for the sustainability drive. So please share this with your musical friends and be a sustainability champion. Your comments, likes, and shares propel us to keep making great content for you. Now, wondering where to find us? We broadcast 24/7 on Roku Television, Apple Television, and of course on our website at ccdtv.ca and on YouTube as well. You will also find some of our programs on Rogers Television and across our campuses within southwestern Ontario. And hey, until next time, if you think about heading for the trash, ask yourself, could this make music? Thanks for watching. I'm your host, Mamuzo. It's been a good episode on Your Conestoga Today. I'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.